So we're going to talk about why I had to wear this shirt on the daily financial news for July 31st. I was horribly wrong about pending home sales. I assumed they would be negative. The experts were calling 1.5, and it came in at almost 5% positive. So I wanted to talk to somebody in mortgage and figure out what the heck I got wrong. Matt, the mortgage guy, why was I so wrong? Why was it the number negative? Everybody's waiting till the election. Rates are high, blah, blah, blah. It was supposed to go negative, and I was wrong. What happened?
Right. Yeah. Cause I think it's me and you have talked about marginal demand quite a bit. And there's
Mhm.
people that are waiting for a number of different reasons. Some are waiting on interest rates. Some are waiting because they think home prices might come down 5 or 10%. There's a lot of people that are waiting or were waiting because it was just too competitive. And
Mhm.
I think that's the demand that's come off the sideline. That's the type of stuff that's gone pending in June is the buyers that were on the sidelines might have missed out on one or two offers were like, I'm not going to buy if I got to pay 40,000 above list. This is
Mhm.
crazy. And
It's
that
crazy. Yeah.
unfortunately has been what it's been like for a lot of buyers in a lot of
Yeah.
markets. As we see more inventory, as it gets quote unquote easier, and I'm talking not easier qualifying wise, but easier, less competition.
Yeah, there's more and there's more choices, right? Inventory is up 40%. So I mean, if I guess if I just logically look at more inventory, rates are down a little. I guess it makes sense, but damn, I was certain it would go negative. Now, of course, pending home sales is not a closed deal. They can still blow up for lots of reasons. But yeah, I was wrong, dude. Five, and maybe you're right. Maybe there's just so many people that have tried and not gotten anything that they're looking at a market with more choices and going, oh, yeah, hey, look at that. I got three to choose from. I'll write up a disrespectful offer. I am curious, you look at the files. How many people do you think are offering above, at, or below list if you were going to put a percentage on it?
Above are true outliers in
Okay,
today's market, right? Like
good. That's good.
that's sub 10%. And it happens when it's it's strategically priced low. It's a
Right.
really nice house and they want to create that buzz. So it's like artificial, but it's maybe 10%. And then
Okay.
at list price um, is probably another 20% that are really nice homes in really nice neighborhoods, priced really well. And within 7 days of being listed, somebody's like, oh, yeah, this neighborhood only turns over 3%. Like, not a lot comes. I need this house. And so that's at list price probably, and maybe asking for some credit. But the vast majority I'm seeing, like as of today, we're sitting here on the last day of July in 2024, buyers are offering well below ask. The
Mm.
thing that I'm also seeing, Mike, and I think it's important for people to understand is I think the reason for higher number of homes being sold, and maybe future data will show this, sellers are getting more realistic. I'm seeing sellers play ball more often, and there's more
Mm.
stuff to point to where realtors can go, hey, listen, your neighbor just sold for
Yeah.
605. So the fact that you think you can get 650, it just not gonna happen. Like I've got a client offering today, one of the nicest parts of Sacramento, um, listed at 650. I looked, this client paid 635 in July of 22, which is
Mm.
pretty close to the top. May or June of 22. They're offering 600. And
Mm.
for a lot of buyers, a lot of my buyers are like this buyer. If we get it, we get it. The worst they
Yeah,
can say is no, right? And
exactly.
so
I
even
love
though
that.
it's a nice house in a nice neighborhood, and I have a feeling because I've had these conversations that the sellers are going to entertain it. Where 3 or 4 months ago they'd be like, "Are you out of your mind? 600 for this
Mm.
neighborhood?" And so it's a good time to be a buyer. It truly is.
Yeah, and the numbers show. It'll be very interesting when the actual results show up in about 3 weeks for July, because as you saw last week, home sales were all the way down at 3.89. I thought July would go below that number, but I guess we'll see, right? Pending home sales surprise to the upside. We'll see about closings.
Yeah, I actually on another podcast was talking to somebody. I listen to smart people like Mike Zuber, and
Mm.
that's where I get my data from. I was in agreement that we're going to set a record, right? That
Yeah.
it'll go,
Below
annualized
388.
below
Yeah.
3.8 because so many people, and here's another fun fact, like it's fun to discuss with a variety of different people and a variety of different opinions. Somebody was talking about buyer sentiment or why buyers weren't buying. And somebody was really mad, nothing to do with election, nothing to do with this. And I said, listen, like uncertainty of any kind causes the buyer to pause. I've seen it in
Absolutely.
real time, right? They're going to
Yes.
say, you know what? I'm not, whether it's their job, the economy, presidential election, no matter what it is, like if there's uncertainty, that for a lot of people is a let's just see what happens and revisit this in 6 months.
No, absolutely right. Again, the consumer is a predictable creature in mass. I can never predict what one person will do, but you can predict in mass. And anytime they're pissed off, scared, nervous, they're not going to sign a mortgage. That's the biggest purchase of most of these people's lives. They're like, nope, too hard. I'm out. I'll wait. It's just so easy to wait. So very
Yeah,
interesting.
for sure. Let's talk a little bit about, since today is Fed Day.
Yeah, let's do it.
And the trajectory of rates, because I think a couple things I don't want to forget to mention. The refinance, quote unquote, boom feels to have already started. Like it's crazy the amount of stuff I see. United Wholesale Mortgage, largest wholesale lender in the country, really smart CEO in Matt Ishbia, says, let's not wait for it to come. Let's get some of it now. Doing a huge incentive on FHA and VA streamline refis, taking 125 bips off and just saying, go do some of these now. We're going to be plenty busy in 6-12 months if rates come down. Go do some of these now. So if you've got a VA loan or an FHA loan and you want us to take a look at it and it's 6.5 or higher, go to greatmortgagebroker.com, email me, Matt@MTMG. I'm happy to help. But that's going to be another interesting thing to watch in the next 12, 18 months is where do we have to be? If your current is 3 and we're at 6.75, we get to 5.75. Is debt consolidation going to come back? Is move up buyer going to come back? All of these things, which we can guess and we can say what we think is going to happen. We won't know until we get there. But I think it's already showing where a lot of mortgage companies are like, listen, if you're not doing 30% refinance, you're not talking to your database enough. You're not talking to past clients enough, because whether it's debt consolidation, whether it's, other investments, like refinances are happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because there's a lot of talk about the Fed cutting. Obviously, today's Fed day. I don't think anybody's really calling for a July cut, but man, everybody's calling for a September cut, except me. I'm like the only moron still calling for November. I feel alone, but that's okay. But again, what happens with Fed is once they start cutting, it's not a one and done. So, if they cut September, November, either one, like it's like how many are coming? I mean, some people expect 3 this year. Some people are talking 6 by summer. I mean, you go 6 cuts, you go 1.5% lower. I mean, damn, you could be talking about a mortgage rate in the 5s.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we both know too that there's other things that could cause mortgage interest rates to go down. The unwidening of that spread between the 10-year, which is it's getting close to 4. I think I saw 4.09 or something when I looked.
I did. I saw that earlier today. 4.09. Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, it's interesting to see in September. I don't think there's 0% on the Fed watch tool that they're still 5.25 to 5.50, like 0%. Yeah. Like that's crazy. Knowing that 6 weeks from now, economic data could come out. There could be some stuff that scares the Fed into saying, hey, listen, inflation has still got a little bit of a hold. Let's give it until November. And, a 10% shot that there's 50 basis points between now and September. If they're unlikely to cut in July, that's pointing towards, a Zuber call. They might do 2 at once, but they're saying September. Yeah. I think you're November, right?
Yeah, I'm saying they're going to not do September. They're going to be late, then they do a half in November. Right. Either way, I think both of us are calling 50 basis points by November. We just get there different ways.
And I think that's the betting favorite. I got Fed Watch pulled up, 60% shot that we're between 475 and 500, which is 50 basis points lower than today by November 7th. And then 33% that it's only 1 cut by November. Yeah, 3 cuts by the end of the year is like the
Crazy.
favorite by a long shot. But
It
and
is.
you
It's
know,
crazy.
I'm different than you, that I, expect them, or maybe, got this psychological thing where I want them, but I
Yeah.
still think that's might be a little bit of a stretch, right? I think
Yeah.
2 is the number that seems like it makes the most sense.
Yeah. But again, the whole beauty of the whole beauty of understanding is once the Fed starts cutting, it's not one and done. They're
Right.
going to be on a cycle. And like, I don't see how they stop at 4. Right. So that's 5.5 to 4.5. I suspect, just again, picking a number out of thin air, they're going to go to 4 to 4.25. So that's 5, 6 cuts, right?
Right.
Before they pause. So it's gonna get interesting, because what happens to rates? What happens to demand? Do we pull a 1981 out of the hat where inflation takes off again because of animal spirits? I mean,
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I know the answers, but there's going to, you know, fast forward 1 year, there,
yeah.
we're
Well,
going to have
let's talk about Ivy Zellman. Ivy Zellman, her nickname is Poison Ivy. That's the nickname the industry gave her because she was so negative on housing, and right. Let's give her her flowers. She was absolutely right last time. She's actually out with a very interesting call today that mortgage rates will only move 50 basis points in the next 2 years. So to put some numbers on that, let's call it 6.8 to 6.3. She does not see a going sub 6 in mortgage rates for the next 2 years. What do you think of that? Seems like a very different call than most people.
Yeah, I think that most people, and even people that aren't super, rates will be in the 4s in the next 24 months, which I'm not in that camp either. It just feels like you said, after 11 rate hikes, the Fed can give us back 5 or 6, and probably will. That the shrinking of the gap between the 10-year and the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, like there's so many reasons, economy that nobody thinks is doing as well as the numbers paint, that's probably going to need a little bit of this stimulus that lower rates provides. For all those reasons, I tell people, I don't know for sure how much or how soon, but over the next 12 to 24 months, I'm not surprised if we go from high 6s to high 5s, and there's no reason why they stop there. And so, yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I mean,
off
if
the
you get
base.
100 to 150 basis point cuts, then you also whack on another half a point in spread collapse, because that's going to come once we roll this over, and you're going to get some compression in the spread, which is still at like 260 basis points. Historical average is 180, so you can easily see a half there. Yeah, I don't know how you don't end up in the high 5s, maybe even mid 5s.
Yeah, and I think that it's realistic to think that between where we are now and where we're at in 24 months is 1.5% lower. And I'm not telling anybody that rates will be anywhere near the historic lows we saw. That would need some crazy events to happen. But 5.25 to 5.5 range is not out of the realm of possibility. The fact that we won't get into the 5s, I'd bet against it.
Yeah, I would bet significant money. I I just don't know how we don't end up in the 5s. Now, if you're going to tell me the number was 4s, that'd be a different conversation,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Because I
I
don't
don't
think we'll get there. Yeah.
I don't. That's a different conversation. But yeah, the 5s, certainly the high 5s, like 5.75. And then to your point, what's the magic number to unlock refis and unlock the move up buyer? So just playing this in my head, does 6.5 do that? No. 6.25? No. 6? Probably not. 5.75? Maybe. 5.5? Probably.
Five
That's
and a
kind of
half is
how
the
I.
number that I would peg, that it would be a substantial amount, right? You're going to
Yeah.
get the marginal stuff at 5.99 and 5.75. People be like, okay, I can do this. And the numbers right now for somebody looking 3 to 7, it's just no chance, right?
No
And then at
chance.
6.5, it's like, it's still too much, because what happens for the move up buyer, even with a lot of equity, their payment goes up 250%. And I've had
Right.
that conversation so many times where I've
Yeah.
been surprised.
You have
Some
that. You have that situation.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
wanted to
personally have
upgrade,
that situation, right? And so yeah, I should start running the numbers in 5.5, upgrade closer to the kiddos high school. But
yeah.
yeah, I think 5.5 is probably the number where there's significant off
No,
the
I agree with
sidelines
that.
demand.
It's
And
it's got to be 5.5. And dude, if we ever got to 5 even, watch out.
right. Yeah,
That's what I
that's where
think.
you're like, I hope builders are building. I hope
Yeah.
inventory is coming from somewhere because I know, the mortgage demand is really easy to predict. Lower
Mhm.
rates, more demand.
Exactly, exactly. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and take advantage of this more inventory, more choices, writing disrespectful offers, how would they do that?
GreatMortgageBroker.com. Mortgage brokers should always be your first step. Get yourself pre-approved, know your numbers before you're out there shopping. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. People will still go out there, fall in love with a house and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that's $3,800 a month. Figure out the numbers first, then set the appointment to go shopping with a real estate agent. Figure out your criteria, what you're looking for. But GreatMortgageBroker.com. We're licensed in 48 states. We're happy to help. Big shout out to everybody from One Rental at a Time that I've talked to, because I've had so many great conversations. We love working with One Rental at a Time community. I'll be back in school. I'm gonna give you the link sooner this month, but great conversations going on in school. I join ones, and then the last Friday of the month, we're just gonna keep that on rotation for opening up whatever people want to see inside of the rate stacks, different lenders, investment scenarios, all that stuff. That's fun.
And we're going to record it next time.
We're gonna record it. Yep. Gosh. Oh man, I'm getting
You're
better every day, Mike. I'm learning.
there you go. Thank you, buddy.
Yep.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, brother.